Hey, Jay here from nStuff, and we're here with Blake from Yamaha, who's showing us the new YC61. Yes. So can you tell us a little bit what's so special about this new organ-oriented piece?
It's exactly what it is. It's an organ-focused stage keyboard is what we like to call it. It's a YC61 is what it is. So basically you notice, obviously that stands out quite prominently. New Drawbar Organ system in here. There's 6 different models of drawbar organs in here. 3 of them are, we call them H models, and 3 of them are F models. The H models are the tone wheel organ models. So each one of those, one is kind of the purest one. It's the one that sits in the studio that never that gets played, you know, a little bit, but it's always kept perfectly. There's no leakage, and it's just perfect. H2 would be one that has a little bit more played in, feel a little bit more road driven or whatever I'm trying to say. And then H3 is the one that's the most beaten up. It's the one that's been sitting in the club for 40 years. And so each one of them has a different flavor, but the cool thing is that you have offsets to these. So let's say you choose H1 here. I got my... Now I have different ways. I can obviously hit the rotary speaker here. I can use this to do the rotary speaker, or I can use my foot switch down here, which I prefer probably the foot switch, but... So that's the H1 model here. Now I'll show you some stuff that's cool about this instrument. I can drop into the sound area and go to organ settings. I can increase the amount of leakage, so there's no tone wheel leakage here. Or I can turn it all the way up. It's hard to hear in here, but you hear the higher harmonics that happen with tone wheel leakage in here. Or I can adjust things like key click. So if I want basically no key click, or a lot of key, or a lot of key click. There we go. Kind of going away there without the percussion. So you also have 3 different chorus and vibrato settings, like you'd expect. I'll put it that way. And then 2nd and 3rd percussion, slow and fast, normal, soft, on and off. That take the 9th drawbar. So it's very much emulated on that tone wheel organ kind of thing. Now over in the rotary speaker section, this is pretty cool too. So this is all using a thing we call virtual circuitry modeling. It's our modeling technology that we use in all sorts of things. We use it in the Rupert Neve Portico series plugins that Steinberg makes. Those are using virtual circuitry modeling to model at the component transistor level the Rupert Neve Portico plug or compressors and preamplifiers and things like that. So we can also use it to do things like tone wheel organ modeling, or we can do it for rotary speaker modeling. So the rotary speaker model in here is really cool. The rotary A is just a straight up rotary speaker. Rotary B adds a transistor preamp to the setup, so you have a little bit more drive in the rotary B. But the thing I love about this rotary speaker is I'll drop down here to the rotary speaker in here, and I'll go to background noise, and I'll turn up the level. So you hear this is a lot of it there, but as I speed it up, you really hear and then as I stop it, as the rotary speaker comes around, it'll stop there. Then I speed it up, it'll speed up again, I hit stop, and it might stop there. So it stops at different areas like the real thing, and this is part of the sound of that tone wheel organ. I have a little bit always on right about 80, and I can always kind of hear it in there, and it's part of the sound, but it's part of the experience, and it's part of the authenticity of it. So it's very cool. So that's the H models, and I'll play just a few of the F models in here. The F models use 8-operator FM synthesis, and there's some cool things that they do here. Now, I can either turn them on here like this, or I can go to my live set, which basically recalls kind of the front panel of the instrument. So I'll go down here to F1. So this is basically, and you notice this is a cool thing too, that even though that the drawbar settings are in a different area, I can still see where they're at because the design of the drawbar is kind of cool. There's a little translucent strip, and I can see right under here. Now if I grab this one and I just move it, it'll update to where it's at here. But I'll take this guy here, so this is FM now. The difference between the FM model and the tone wheel model is the FM model doesn't have any foldback, so the low end on here is huge. Gospel players really like this sound because of the I guess I didn't. So it still has a really great kind of a tone wheel sound, but again, it's using FM. The other two models in here do the British transistor. So that's more of the pulse wave, square wave sound. And then F3 does the Italian transistor. This is more of a dirtier sort of a sawtooth waveform. Great with, some of the amplifier models in here as well. So very cool. So that's basically the organ section. The other thing that's cool about this instrument is we also have great piano. So this is a CFX concert grand here that I can play if I move this back a bit and get to my sustain pedal. It's a great piano sound in here. But the other thing that's interesting about this now, I'm more of a piano player, less of an organ player, but this has the waterfall action that, organ players kind of are into, but I find it very expressive to play. And at first before I got this, I was like, gosh, am I going to be able to play this waterfall? I'm going to have to really relearn everything. And I didn't at all. I just played a gig on it Saturday night. We announced on Thursday, and then I immediately, I can play a gig now. So I took it out to play the gig, and I primarily played piano on the gig. It was me and a bass player, and I loved playing it. Part of the reason why I loved playing it is because I had to walk about, 500 meters to get to where I was at, and it's pretty easy to walk when I can hold the entire keyboard like this. I could do this for 5 minutes easy because it's 16 pounds, 7 kilograms, very lightweight. Plus I have a backpack bag there that it just goes on a backpack. That's really a nice looking bag too. I mean, the instrument itself just looks, it's a beautiful design. So it's cool to pull this out, super lightweight, and then it's super expressive as well. And everything I need for the gig is in this instrument. Let's say I need an electric piano. I just go to my electric piano category right here. And you notice that there's keys A and keys B here. So keys A has its own set of effects. Keys B has its own set of effects here. You also have another effect here that if I need an extra effect to point somewhere else, like let's say I have, in this one I have delay and compressor, but what if I wanted an amp simulator here? I can add that to this effect and just point it at keys A or B or whatever. But then you have all these different effects in here, touch wah, for example. And simple controls, depth and rate. So you don't have to sit here and think about what you're doing. You can just kind of get it to where you want it. Okay, that's it. Okay, let's say I need something like a synth lead sound. One of the things that they added to this is the FM engine does the organs, right? But it also does both lead sounds. These aren't that in here, but I can grab an FM lead sound. But it also has FM electric pianos in here. But with this one, so mono mode, portamento. I'll turn off and just have single knob filter control. So you can set how much resonance is in there, how much cutoff. You have 8 different settings. But the cool thing I like about the single knob filter is that I don't have to worry about both settings when I'm on the gig. It keeps me in the music and kind of in that space between the thoughts. That's what I like to say. You learn stuff and you don't want your gear to interrupt your mind when you're trying to play. So we've made this one-to-one interface very easy to do that with this guy. So you have all that kind of stuff in the keys A and B section. So organ section, keys A and B, 2 different sections, and then all these effects that are in here as well. And to do it, you just turn things on. And let's say I want this big thing where I have all sections on. I like that. I can store it into a live set sound somewhere in here. Like I'll put it down to an empty area here. Now I can instantly recall all of these settings just like that. So it's a nice kind of thing as well with that. It's a 2-channel audio interface, so you can send just audio back and forth to and from the computer. It's also iOS compatible. It's also SoundMondo compatible, which is our social sound sharing site where you can upload your sounds and share them with the community. We have, tens of thousands of sounds up there for all of our synthesizers. This will be part of the SoundMondo thing as well. That's basically it.
Would you say it's a perfect instrument for a piano player who wants to explore more sounds?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It is. To me what it is there's lots of piano players that I know, me included, that have always, wanted maybe to play organ, but didn't want to make the investment into it. Not just investment monetarily, but also just investment in it's a different instrument. Organ is a totally different instrument, and but I still need the piano sounds. So I like that about it. It's great for, an organist will feel right at home with the waterfall key bed, but from a piano standpoint, I like the feel of this keyboard. And I was worried at first that maybe I won't like it, but I immediately got it at home and then was playing piano and really loved playing it. It's very, very expressive, and the lightweightness is just so much to me anymore as I get older. When I walk 500 meters to get to the gig, which is how long I had to walk to get to this thing on the water that I was playing, it was nothing to do it. It was fast set up, and then the sound that comes out is so amazing. It just, so yeah, I think it is very much, a piano player will feel right at home, but they'll have the ability to maybe explore that organ world as well. And the organs do a lot of stuff. They're very great, especially the FM organs can make these really fascinating pad sounds. In fact, we put a bunch of audio demos up, and one of the ones that got the biggest hits was this simple steel string guitar sound in here. What did I play on it? So it's a nice guitar sound, but when you turn on these two effects, what I've done here with this particular sound is I've added the F1 organ. So this is the sine wave organ, but I turned on the sustain pedal, which is usually off on the organ. Usually you're using the, but on this one, so it's a nice pad sound. So now when I go, that's that organ sound in there with the rotary speaker. It really makes a nice pad. And then I have tempo delay in here as well. That blink at the tempo, so I can kind of set it to the band as well. I mean, that's the sound that you wouldn't expect coming out of an organ thing, and why it's a stage keyboard, So yes, I really think it gives a piano player a little bit more to experiment with. It gives them kind of the organ thing for the first time, but they'll feel at home playing it on a gig.
And when it comes to money, what will this cost roundabout?
$24.99 is our suggested retail price, and probably it'll sell for right around the $19.99 range in the US. So whatever that is in euro, a little more, I think, 23, maybe, I don't know. That's Klaus, if you know him from Yamaha, yeah. He'll tell you. So
yeah, thank you very much for your time and enjoy the NAMM show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, man.
Bye.